Chapter 85. Rudra could be seen in his throne, deeply engrossed in planning for his game with Guy Crimson. His eyes scanned a large map spread across the table in front of him, marking various territories and potential reinforcements. So far, he had barely any subordinates capable of fighting even a mere maid of Guy's. His frustration was palpable as he realized the extent of his vulnerability. The situation was even more dire considering he had no assets that could stand against a true dragon. Valzard, one of Guy's formidable pieces, could be dispatched at any moment to decisively end their game. Rudra muttered to himself, "I need someone who can be a deterrent for a true dragon." His mind raced through possible solutions as he contemplated expanding his empire and boosting the strength of his imperial guards. At that moment, a lone man appeared before him. He stood with a confident and prideful smile, his presence radiating an aura of formidable power. "I do believe I can be of help to that, my Emperor Rudra," the man said, his voice carrying an assurance that caught Rudra's attention. Rudra's eyes narrowed with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. "And who might you be?" he asked, his tone a blend of hope and wariness. The man's smile widened. "My name is Apophis. I possess skills and knowledge that could turn the tide in your favor. I believe our interests align." Rudra considered his words carefully, the potential for a new alliance or power shift looming large in his thoughts. Milam could be seen playing with her pet dragon outside the modest mansion she called home, located on the edge of the now Nazca Empire. The mansion stood in a city where Milam had grown up, though she had never seen her parents' faces and knew little about them beyond their names. Raised by servants whose loyalties and employers remained a mystery to her, Milam lived a largely solitary life. The only constant companion she had was her pet dragon, small enough for her to hug and carry with her child's body. One bright morning, Milam slipped out of the mansion without notifying the staff. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she called out, "Let's go." Her dragon, eager to join her, took flight beside her. Milam followed suit, using her own ability to hover just above the ground, and they headed toward the grassy fields outside the city. Once they reached the grassland, Milam settled into the soft green expanse, enjoying the warmth of the sun on her face. She turned to her dragon and said, "Uncle should be coming soon. I wonder what game we can play today." She bounced up and down with excitement, and the dragon responded with a cute, enthusiastic roar. "Then let's play your favorite," a familiar voice called from behind her, ruffling her pink hair. Milam spun around, her face lighting up with joy. "Uncle, it's been a while," she exclaimed, running to hug the man who had appeared. The man, Rimuru, returned her hug with a fatherly smile and a nod. "Let's go play tag," Milam urged, releasing Rimuru from her embrace. She took off into the air, her dragon following her. Rimuru chuckled softly and unfurled his wings. "Milam, Uncle doesn't do so well in the air," he said, though his smile and the ease of his movement belied his words. Despite the playful complaint, his speed and agility in the air were unmatched by most. Rimuru was known to Milam as her uncle, a title that carried deep meaning. Although he was indeed a parallel existence of Rimuru, he had been tasked with the mission to protect Milam in this world. Rimuru had made sure that his mission was clear, to watch over Milam and ensure her safety. The parallel existence retained the same feelings and desire to protect Milam as the original did, and that would never change. It had been about a year since Rimuru first introduced himself as Milam's uncle. It had been surprisingly easy to slip into the mansion unnoticed. "Rudra seems to have lacked security for his niece," Rimuru had remarked with a grimace. After banishing Rimuru, Hero Rudra's neglect of Milam had been deplorable. Rimuru had made it a point to keep a close watch on Milam and spend time with her. He had also emphasized to Milam that he needed to be kept a secret. He told her that if anyone discovered him, they might never want her to see him again, a statement that nearly brought tears to her eyes. Seeing her distress, Rimuru had reassured her with a comforting smile. "Don't worry, Milam, I'm here for you. I'll always be your friend, even if the others don't want to be." His promise was a lifeline for her, a source of comfort in a world where her only friend outside of her pet dragon seemed to be a secret kept hidden from everyone else. "Milam," Rimuru frowned as he visited the next day, looking over his niece who was wearing a not-so-appropriate clothing. "Change," his words stern, with no room for protest. Milam, who found her clothing nice and comfortable, slumped her shoulders as she changed to a more proper one. Rimuru sighed, seeing as the habits are already showing. "Milam, I'll have some comfortable clothes made for you. Just make sure that it's not those kind," he states as he glared at the clothing and burned it to ashes. I'm not letting you leave home wearing something like that again, I'll stop coming if you do. Milam sobbed for an hour hearing Rimuru's words and swore to never do it again. Hinata and Luminos have been very alert these past months. After the sudden disappearance of the storm dragon Veldora, all of them have been cautious that the time of his attack will arrive even before child Chloe shows up. Velgrind was not worried, she can at least confirm that he was still alive. Rimuru has volunteered to search for him, even going as far as to go to Veldora's favorite forest. After not finding anything, he has become more vigilant in Luminos territory, which unfortunately took time away from his bonding with Milam. In a certain elven kingdom, once renowned for its benevolent ruler, the noble king had transformed into a tyrant. His reign was marked by cruelty and the abuse of power, a stark departure from the kindness that had once defined him. In the dank, dimly lit confines of the dungeon, his daughter languished in a cell. Her frail appearance spoke of prolonged suffering, hunger and sleepless nights etched into her once vibrant features. Her imprisonment followed countless confrontations with her father, during which she had dared to question and oppose his increasingly erratic demands. His wrath had descended upon her for reasons she could scarcely comprehend: failed experiments, insufficient resources, and other accusations that seemed increasingly detached from reality. "I need a power source," the king bellowed, his voice echoing through the stone corridors. Unlike Advanza, which has unlimited resources, this place is basically in poverty when it comes to resources. His anger was palpable, a dark aura radiating from him that made the servants shiver in fear. The walls seemed to tremble under the weight of his fury. The king's outburst left many of his elven servants confused. Their kingdom was known far and wide for its abundance of natural resources. The land was fertile, rich with precious minerals, and brimming with raw materials. Elven craftsmen, celebrated for their exceptional skills, rivaled even the dwarves of Dwargo. The disparity between the king's proclamations and the reality of their wealth was glaring. Amid the turmoil, a sudden voice intruded upon the king's thoughts. It was an otherworldly whisper that seemed to echo directly in his mind. Zaak, the name was uttered with a chilling tone, causing the king's face to darken with disgust. The name seemed to be a source of profound irritation, a remnant of a past he wished to distance himself from. "Don't call me that," the king's mental response was sharp and irritated. "How many times do I have to tell you?" The voice, unfazed, continued. "Whatever you say. Anyway, I have a suggestion for you." At the suggestion, a sinister grin slowly spread across the king's face. It was a smile devoid of warmth, a prelude to dark schemes that would unfold with a chilling efficiency. The promise of a new plan, whispered in his mind, was enough to shift the king's mood from frustration to a cold, calculating anticipation. Milam's days followed a familiar routine. Each morning, she would sneak out with her pet dragon, and together they played in the expansive fields near their home. Whether darting across the land or soaring through the sky, their games of tag were full of joy and energy. Today was no different. The sun cast its golden rays over the landscape as Milam and her dragon reveled in their favorite game. They darted and whirled, laughter ringing out like chimes carried on the breeze. Sometimes, they would pause to rest on the grass, enjoying the serene beauty of their surroundings. Occasionally, Rimuru, her beloved uncle, would join them. Milam would excitedly recount her adventures, describing how she had perfected her speed, how escaping from the mansion had become easier, and how delicious the food from the village markets was. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she shared each detail. Rimuru listened with a contented smile, pleased to see her so happy. Yet, he couldn't shake his frustration with Rudra. The servant's coldness towards Milam was a constant source of discontent. Despite his efforts, no one seemed willing to bridge the gap between Milam and the rest of the world. As the afternoon waned, Milam decided to return to the mansion for a meal. A sudden, unsettling sensation made her pause, as if unseen eyes were watching her. With her dragon by her side, she quickened her pace, eager to reach the safety of her home. Upon arriving, Milam was met with a horrific sight. The entrance hall was stained with blood, on the walls, the floor, and the furniture. The familiar space was now a grotesque scene of horror. Milam's breath caught in her throat. Her dragon landed protectively in front of her, its eyes scanning for threats. The eerie silence was broken by a chilling voice. Well, looks like our dragon princess finally decided to come home." From the second floor, a door creaked open, and a blonde elf in regal attire and a flowing cloak descended the stairs. With a snap of his fingers, he conjured layers of glowing magical circles around Milam. The air crackled with arcane energy, and Milam's strength began to wane. Her limbs grew heavy, and she slumped to the ground, unable to support herself, a stark contrast to her earlier vitality. With this as a signal, the hidden elves tackled both her and the dragon, capturing them. Milam lost consciousness during the struggle and transport. As she began to wake up, she heard the clinking of chains. Through hazy vision, she saw that her limbs were bound by large mithril chains. She strained against them, but her strength was quickly waning, causing the shackles to emit a faint, eerie glow. Gazing around her dim surroundings, Milam noticed she was confined in a dark and gloomy cell. As her vision cleared, she observed a cage suspended from the ceiling of the vast room where her cell was located. Her eyes widened in horror as she saw her friend, the dragon, within the cage. No, what? No, she cried out, seeing the dragon's strength diminish with each passing moment under the Elven King's control. HMPH, for a dragon crafted by the Creator, it's hardly useful as a power source, Jahil, possessing the body of the Elven King, scoffed. He clicked his tongue in irritation, watching as the baby dragon emitted weak roars, its eyes full of distress for Milam. As Milam's sobs filled the room and the chains rattled, Jahil's head twisted unnaturally to face her. That lizard was just an appetizer. The main course is you. He grinned menacingly, advancing toward her cell as the baby dragon continued to cry in agony. Seeing Jahil approach, the baby dragon summoned its remaining strength and broke free from the cage with a loud clang. It charged toward Jahil, aiming to tackle him. Jahil noticed the dragon's desperate rush but was too slow to react. The dragon's head collided with his stomach, slamming him into the wall. Gah, you wretched lizard! Jahil cursed, staggering to his feet and wiping the blood from his lips. He seized the baby dragon by its head and hurled it against the wall. No, Milam screamed, her cries echoing through the cell as the chains struggled to contain her. The burst of magicules within her body overwhelmed the chains, causing them to disintegrate into dust. She broke free from her confinement. Less than unique skill, wrathful acquired. Gift bestowed. Magicule breeder reactor confirmed. Evolution of unique skill, wrath, successful. Acquisition of ultimate skill, Lord of Wrath successful. Greater than, Drago Nova. Without a moment's hesitation or concern for control, she unleashed her new, devastating attack, obliterating everything in her path. It has started. Rimuru, with a somber expression, watched as Milam's rampage unfolded before him. His eyes, brimming with sorrow, reflected the chaos and devastation she was causing. I'm so sorry, Milam. I'm so sorry. Tears streamed down his face as he secured himself with chains alongside the others, ensuring he wouldn't be able to intervene. Calm down, Rimuru. This is for the best, Velgrin said gently, trying to comfort him. She wrapped her arms around his face, shielding him from the sight of the destruction and the anguish on Milam's face. Chloe, pained by the sight of Rimuru's torment, took his hand in hers. Rimuru-san, remember how strong Milam will be in the future. This is all necessary. We'll do what we can to lessen the burden, but we can't interfere directly. Rimuru's breaths came in ragged gasps as he struggled with the weight of his own guilt. He cursed himself for the hypocrisy of promising to protect Milam, yet being unable to stand by her side when she needed him most. I'm sorry, he whispered, his voice breaking with regret. To be continued.